I'm Isaac Carlson, and on Following Dreams, I'm focused on exploring the stories of people who are following their passions and achieving their dreams. I want to help inspire you to pursue what you love by hearing how others have done it. But before we welcome our guest for today, be sure to take part in all the magical places on the internet that I live. You can find all my discussions on the wonderful world of Disney on my YouTube channel, Watso Videos. Be sure to follow my adventures on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Watso Videos. Consider supporting the show by joining my Discord and becoming a producer of the show over at patreon.com/WatsoVideos and getting the Following Dreams merchandise at watsostore.com. Feel free to send me a comment or question at followingdreamspodcast@gmail.com. And if you enjoy what this show is doing, be sure to rate us over on iTunes. Today we're setting out on a series of interviews that I'm ecstatic to begin, as we are going to be learning about what goes into creating the magic at the Walt Disney World parks when people are a part of the Disney College Program. What's the application process like? How does training work? What goes into living around the parks, and what is it like to finally step behind the scenes for a few brief months? Today, we're going to begin understanding all of these questions as we interview a veteran cast member of Hollywood Studios and understand what it was like for her to live out a dream of working within the Disney parks. Welcome, Lauren Smith.
Hey there, fun people, and hi, Isaac. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you. If you saw on my Instagram story at one point, Lauren is the person that saw me at my last Disney trip when she was working. So it was really cool that she'd be willing to come on and share what her experience was like. So it's awesome to have you here.
Thanks so much. I'm really glad to be on here today.
So right off the bat, I want to understand, what are you passionate about? What gets you really excited? And, kind of what drew you to the Disney College Program?
Well, I am actually originally from Southern California, so I used to have a Disney pass, and I lived about 20 minutes away from Disneyland, and it was just always my happy place to go to. I would always just ask my parents, hey, we're not doing anything this weekend. Let's go to Disneyland. So it's always just been my favorite place to go. I absolutely loved anything and everything Disney, whether it was going to the parks, watching the movies, watching Disney Channel, any of those things. So when I found out that there was an opportunity to work at Disney World through the Disney College Program, I thought that this opportunity is meant for me. This is something that I have always wanted to do, like, no matter what. Yeah, and especially because I'm a big theater person, I'm very passionate. And not only that, I'm also just very passionate about helping other people, and the Walt Disney World Resort is just the pinnacle of that.
That is for darn sure. They are definitely the creme de la creme of customer service for sure.
Oh, yes.
So once you decided that you wanted to be a part of the Disney College Program, what were the first steps that you had to take to be a part of it?
Well, of course, there was the anticipation of waiting for the applications to drop. So I was following all the Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram pages I could to find the countdown. And then leading up to that, I was asking many of my friends who have done the Disney College Program in the past, like, what's the application process like? What are some of the things that I need to put on my application? What do I need to say in the interviews? And so just pretty much just trying to prepare myself as much as I could.
Sure. And do you feel like that research was necessary for you to be accepted? Like, is there an opportunity for people that don't dive in to try to figure out how to frame themselves perfectly to get accepted?
I think that there definitely is some good opportunities for people to get in, even if they haven't, researched into how to get in. Just as long as you feel like you're putting your best self forward and you feel like you are putting forward why you feel like you would be a great candidate to be part of the Disney College Program, I think there's just as much of a chance of you getting in as somebody who may have done a bunch of research like I did.
Yeah, that if they're a prepared individual with a passion, that will be able to come through.
I would say so.
Once that application became available to you, what was that like? Was it similarly to other jobs that you had had previously, or was this different in any way?
It is very similar to how it would be if you were just applying for any other job online. They would just ask basic information, work history, have you done any volunteer work? And then, yeah, that just gets sent in. The only thing that's pretty different than other jobs is that there's 3 rounds of application. Is that there's the initial application that you send in. If you make it past that, you go to a web-based interview, which is one of those personality quizzes of like strongly agree, strongly disagree, those kinds. And then if you're able to make it past that, then it is a phone interview with one of the Disney representatives. And then after that, that's when, you just wait for a little while, and then you'll see if you get your acceptance email.
Wow, that is an intricate amount of steps to go through.
Oh, yeah.
I assumed that a lot of people would submit applications for it, but that's a pretty intense round of interviews to just be a part of the magic for a few months. But you were able to get in, you're able to get through it, so it obviously was hopefully worth it at the end.
Oh, absolutely.
So what was it like to finally be accepted, and once all of that application process was over?
It took everything in me to not jump for joy, because I was about to start my psychology class, and I'm just looking through my emails, and I see from Walt Disney World Resort, and I see congratulations in the subject, and I thought, what in the world? I'm now going to be working at Disney World. And again, I just wanted to just jump out of my seat, but again, it was right before a class, and I didn't want to get any strange looks, but
mm-hmm. I had a similar experience when the first Frozen 2 teaser trailer was released. When I was on the shuttle to college to come to class, because I was pretty far off campus and I was freaking out. But I had financial math, so I was just keeping it cool.
I remember that happened to me when that's happened to me many times whenever I've seen Disney trailers come out, and I'm somewhere where sometimes I might be in class, and honestly I really shouldn't be on my phone during class, but I'll see like the I remembered seeing the teasers for Frozen 2 and for Rise of Skywalker, and I'm thinking, I can't wait until after class to see this, but I have to.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah. The Last Jedi was the one before Frozen 2 that I remember like really flipping out about. I was locked to my chair and just like in awe of it. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. Definitely relate with those types of moments.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, it just took everything in me to not just jump for joy. I remember texting gifs of Cinderella Castle to my parents and to my friends, to my boyfriend, all of them, just to subtly say, guess where I'm going in a couple of months.
And so once you found out that you were going to be going on this excursion and going to work for the parks, what was it like to set up going there for such a long amount of time? How did it work out trying to secure transportation and living situations and everything like that?
Well, thankfully my parents and we were already in the talks of me getting a car, which was really nice. So I ended up making the 17-hour drive from here in Springfield, Missouri, all the way to Orlando, Florida. With I didn't drive all the way through though. My dad and I stopped in Tennessee, I believe, overnight, and then made the rest of the way there. And as far as living situations go, one thing that's great about the Disney College program is that they provide housing for you. So there are one of 4 complexes that you can stay in, and I ended up staying in the housing complex of Vista Way. If there's any college program alumni that are listening, you probably have heard of this of this complex and heard of all the wonderful stuff that happens there. But yeah, it was so yeah, there are 4 housing complexes. I ended up in the cheapest one, which was really nice. I was living with 5 other girls, and we were paying $111 each week. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. Not too horrible.
Yeah. And one thing that was wonderful is that the rent was actually taken out of our paycheck each week from our hours, so we didn't have to like manually type in our card information or send in checks or anything. It was just automatically deducted from our paychecks.
That's a very logical way of doing it. Instead of trying to get with due dates and everything like that, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That probably made it a lot easier for everyone working there.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. When you were at one of the 4 complexes, once you're put there, how do you get to the different places that you need to go? Do you have to have a car present to be able to go around, or is there a bus line similarly to if you're at a different, like paying at a resort? What is that like?
There actually is a bus system. There's multiple different buses we have, I think from A to H, if I remember, and they go to like so many different areas in the Walt Disney World Resort. I always took a bus that would stop at all of the complexes, and then it would go to Hollywood Studios, and then we recently got a transportation change, so now the e-bus goes from Hollywood Studios to Swan and Dolphin Resort only on request, then the Yacht and Beach Club, and then it starts making its way back to the housing complexes for everyone. And there are some that will take you to, I normally never really took a whole lot of the buses, but they will stop at a lot of the different resorts. They'll stop at all the theme parks. They'll stop at Disney Springs. And there are some that will even stop at like the post office nearby, or Publix, or Walmart, Cast Connections.
Oh, goodness. I had a question, and now I completely lost it.
Oh.
Goodness gracious.
Dig deep. You can do it.
Oh, yes. Now I've got it.
Okay, there we go.
When you sign up for the Disney College program, are you guaranteed to work in one of the theme parks, or is it possible that some of the people work at places like the Boardwalk or the Yacht Club?
You are not guaranteed to be working in the parks. For example, 2 of my roommates actually worked at resorts. Actually, one of my roommates was custodial at the Disney Boardwalk, and another one of my friends was a lifeguard at Coronado Springs.
Do you have any say in the location that you end up in, or is it just signing up to be placed in the Walt Disney World Resort?
It's just signing up to be placed in the Walt Disney World Resort because when they said that I was going to be part of food and beverage service, they just said food and beverage service. They didn't say where I was going to be working. They didn't say if I was going to be working in Disney Springs or in any of the parks or resorts. I just had to find out. They just said that I would find out a couple weeks prior to my arrival.
So when you arrived, what was it like to be trained at Disney? Was it much more structured? Were you able to feel it being a more professional and like a high-class service compared to all the other resorts or places of business that exist?
It's hard to say, but I would say yes, because our first day, I guess, of quote-unquote training is that we have our traditions class, which isn't necessarily training. It's just going in and hearing from cast members from different fields in the Walt Disney World Resort about who we are, what it is we do, how much of an impact we can make on guests, young or old. And that was also where we got to get our name tags, which was really nice, especially because they were delivered to us by the boss himself, Mickey. Yeah,
That's very cool.
Not gonna lie, when he walked in with our box of name tags, I almost cried. Yeah, and then I believe the next day, they brought us in for basic training, this was before I was on location. It was just a general thing for everybody to learn in food and beverage service, just classes on making sure that we know how to be safe, and learning how to properly pick things up and put them down so we're not injuring ourselves. And then after that, I believe my training was 4 or 5 days long, and that's when I got to actually get my costume, go to ABC commissary, and I met with my trainers, and they just showed me the ropes of how everything in the kitchen worked, and they would kind of let me do some stuff on my own to see how well I pick things up. So that's pretty much how the whole process goes with training, at least for food and beverage.
Sure. That makes sense. So when you got to arrive in Backstage of Hollywood Studios for the first time, what was it like for you? What was your experience finally seeing behind the scenes?
It was pretty crazy, especially seeing how just everything works, because I was around where like Star Tours and the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular was, and the Jedi Training Academy, the Trials of the Hidden Temple. Just seeing all of that was just a surreal experience. Yeah, especially because the last time I've ever been backstage at the Disney park was in California, because I would perform there a couple times, but I never really soaked it in of the fact that I was backstage at Disney, because of course at the front of my mind I'm just thinking, oh, I'm at Disney, like I'm not going to care of the fact that I'm backstage.
What were you doing when you were performing at Disneyland? What was that type of experience like? So, because I didn't realize that you had previous experience, at least like being a part of the whole structure of creating the magic at the Disney parks.
Yeah, it's so sometimes things that happen at Disneyland is sometimes choirs will come, dance troops will come. It's a whole Disney performing arts series. So I think so yeah, pretty much my dance company was just there performing, and I believe last time I performed there I was 12 years old.
So it's been a few years.
Oh, yeah. Yep, it's been a long time.
So now that you had been trained and everything like that, you had gotten a little bit of experience of seeing backstage and everything, did you participate in any of the education programs that were there? What was your experience with all of that?
I did actually, there are some classes that are offered which are super amazing. Some of the classes I took were resume writing, personal branding, marketing, and I believe there's the fourth class in that series of those classes is acing the interview, which I did not do, but I did take the other three, which were and those were pretty cool. They were very in detail, and yeah, they were just a lot of fun to like hear from all these people. I can't quite remember all the other kinds of education classes that were offered, because I got to a point in the program where I just did not want to get up early to go to classes. I was just so tired from work that I just wanted to sleep in until I had to do it all over again.
Yeah, because you're required to work 40 to 50 hours a week. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that is.
Ooh. What were your hours like for that? Like, was there any consistency with it for you?
The most consistency, and this is a joke that I've heard from another friend of mine who's done the program, is that instead of the Disney College program, it should be called the Disney Closing Program, because I always got closing shifts. which always happens. That always happens with the college program participants. We always end up getting the closing shifts.
And since you were in Hollywood Studios, was it crazy or at least got more crazy during the holiday season and when Rise of the Resistance opened? Could you tell when there were special events going on?
Yeah, so I was working the day that Galaxy's Edge opened, it was especially really nice because they gave out free stuff to everybody. I got a free tote bag and a free magic band, which is really nice, like a cast member exclusive magic band.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's white with like a navy blue Mickey on it. It says opening team August 5th, 2019, and it has the Millennium Falcon on it.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
And yeah, or oh no, it's August 29th that it opened. August 5th was when I arrived. But yeah, and I remembered dreading the day that Galaxy's Edge was going to open because the entrance of Galaxy's Edge, or at least the main one, it's right around the corner from where my location was. So I was thinking, okay, everybody's just going to be like flooding in here because it's a quick service restaurant and it's right there. So, but surprisingly, the first couple of weeks, it wasn't as crazy, at least inside of ABC commissary, as I thought it would be. Same with Rise of the Resistance opening. It didn't seem like it was getting that crazy the day that it opened, but it for sure was super, super busy during the holiday hours. Yeah, during the holiday season, I meant. Yeah, especially, oh goodness, New Year's Eve. That was one of the craziest nights I can think of.
I remember hearing that Magic Kingdom reached capacity before midday, so I can barely imagine what it was like.
Oh yeah, especially because I had some friends who worked Magic Kingdom, so I just felt like I should salute them, like in the Hunger Games, just like, may the odds be ever in your favor. Like, good luck. Like, stinks to be you. I am so glad I don't work at Magic Kingdom.
So I guess that was something that I hadn't really asked yet. You got assigned to ABC Commissary and to the food and beverage. What was your day-to-day role like that you experienced all the craziness with through all the holiday season and everything? What was your day-to-day like?
Well, a lot of it would depend on which assignment that you're given once you go there because yeah, there are many, many things that you can be doing. There's prep, just making sure that the cooler is ready and you have everything set for the assembly lines. There's 2 assembly lines you have grill where you have to make all the patties and the chicken for the salads. There's salads where not only do you need to make salads, you need to make vegan burgers. There's toaster who has to toast all the buns, put all the cheese and bacon and make kids quesadillas. There's fryer who they definitely have a crazy job because they have to make all the fries, chicken tenders, onion rings, and there's also some other ones that don't work directly with food, like kitchen assist. They just have to get food from one place to the other, make sure the assembly line is caught up. There's kitchen stalker, making sure we have enough stuff in our fridge. There's, oh goodness, I'm sure that there's many of, it's already a blur to me how many assignments there are in the kitchen.
And would you have to be an expert at running all of those? Or would you get a few that you would become really good at and you'd get consistently?
It can depend sometimes, like, especially with closing, a lot of the times I would consistently be getting salads because the leaders and the coordinators could see that I was really good at quickly cleaning everything up and getting everything pre-closed. So yeah, if anything, they would mostly give me that, which was really nice. And also that's the one where I burned myself the least. So that was my favorite position to be on.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Saying that, I do have a couple scars from getting burnt. Like, actually, I think my very first day on the job without any training, I burned my arm with barbecue sauce from the ribs. And yeah, that scar still has not gone away.
Wow, so you have the scars to prove that you are a part of the Disney College program.
Pretty much. If I lose any of my other souvenirs, I know I've got a permanent one.
So what were your favorite things that you were able to take back from working at Hollywood Studios and Disney World? Were there specific memories or specific souvenirs that really hold a special place in your heart?
The biggest one I can think of is a memory that I had when I met Mickey on Thanksgiving Day. It was actually I think the first time I have ever cried in front of a character before. Because something that I love to do is I love to draw the Disney characters and get them signed by the characters. So I had a picture of Steamboat Willie Mickey that I was going to have him sign on his birthday, but of course, since it's Mickey's birthday, the line to see him was just way too long. So I thought, I'll just get it signed when I get it signed. So I met him in Hollywood Studios in his sorcerer outfit, and once he saw it, he took my book and he sat down in the chair and was starting to write out a long message. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, like, what in the world could he be writing? And so I was just chatting with everybody, him, with the character attendants. I stand up and he, along with his signature, he wrote, "Keep the magic alive always." And I just burst into tears.
Oh.
Yeah. And yeah, I was like trying to fan myself to get myself to stop crying, and Mickey was trying to wipe away my tears, and I kept saying, "No, Mickey, I don't want you to ruin your gloves." And he was like, "Oh, don't worry about that."
Oh, that's a really cool, unique experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I don't think I've ever cried in front of a character before. So
was there something Was there something particular that resonated with you when you saw that specifically?
I think it just really like reminded me of just how thankful I was to be part of a family that just wants to create magic and great memories, not only for the guests but for its cast members. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that just like really tugged at my heartstrings. So.
Yeah, and that's amazing that you had that type of experience when you were able to work there, that you were able to also enjoy getting to work in the parts. You also got the chance to go and work in the parts. Oh my goodness. Not parts, parks. You got the chance to go work in the parks and you got to enjoy the parks while being down there for so long. So that's awesome that you have some memories from being down there.
Oh yeah, there's oh goodness, so many things that I definitely miss from the parks. Like when I went to each of the parks for the last time, there were specific things that I had to make sure I saw, and I just like cherished it as I was like either going on a certain ride or seeing a certain show. So yeah, it was just definitely a really challenging experience, but it's something I definitely like wouldn't trade.
And so, what was the most impactful part of your time working in Hollywood Studios?
Oh gosh, that's a difficult one to answer. Gosh, I don't know how to answer that one.
Then, is there some part of yourself that you appreciate more? Is there a part of the parks that you are able to take away that you didn't realize before working there?
Well, definitely something that working there has helped me with is, I guess, to kind of grow thicker skin, if that makes sense. Just realizing like, okay, I just need to get the job done. I can worry about it now, or I can just pick myself up and get the job done. And
being in that fast-paced environment, trying to make sure that guests are completely satisfied by what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, there are times where I think, okay, it's nice that I'm sometimes too much of a people pleaser because this is somewhere where we want everybody to be happy. So this is a people pleaser's like dream job.
Yeah, since the company is very focused on doing that.
Mm-hmm. And as far as being backstage being backstage at Hollywood Studios, I will say after a while the shock I guess, for lack of better terms, of being backstage definitely wears off the more you're back there. There definitely are some things that surprise you from time to time. Like when you see some of the Jedi Masters from Trials of the Hidden Temple walking backstage, it can be a little weird sometimes because you're thinking, wait, they should be on stage. When of course it's like no, they're on break right now. There's no training academy happening right now.
You see these people and you realize, or at least it sets in, that these are normal people as well.
Yeah, so sometimes there were some times, like even halfway through my program, where I would see friends of some characters backstage, and I would be a little taken aback, but at the same time in my mind I would be thinking, wait, I should know that, like I should expect this by now because I work here. It's not like I was going to go my entire program not seeing some of these friends backstage.
Yeah, you're truly getting the full experience of seeing what's beyond the curtain.
Oh, absolutely. Even before then, I knew that I would have to, I guess, let that suspension of disbelief die down a bit, I guess, if that makes any sense, because I have many friends who work at Disneyland in California. Like, I have a friend who is friends with many different princes, and I have seen him when he's been hanging out with one of the princes. So,
do you feel like that has dampened or enhanced your ability to appreciate the parks, or is this something that is just a different dimension to the experience now?
It definitely feels like you're stepping into a different dimension, but that doesn't really stop me from enjoying whenever I see the characters. Like every time I've gone to a park just to hang out and just run around and play, I'm pretty sure I've seen at least one character every time I've gone to the parks to just play around. So yeah, it's definitely strange, but it won't completely shatter my love for seeing any of these characters.
And now that you're gone, and now that you're done with that program, do you miss it?
Oh, absolutely.
That it's hard to go back to more of a reality and no longer the tropical weather and the theme parks at such an easy disposal.
Yeah, the last day I spent at the parks, I bought a ticket for Hollywood Studios so I could finally get on Rise of the Resistance before I left, and yeah, I think I remember just like sobbing as I was leaving Hollywood Studios, especially because I was saying goodbye to my leaders, my coordinators, and one of my trainers. Yeah, because I made sure to stop in and say goodbye to them before I left. And yeah, like the last time that I drove off of Disney World property, I was thinking I really don't want to leave, but sadly I didn't extend, so it's too late to turn back now.
Now that you've had such a positive experience, does it make you want to work with the Disney company in some way, or do you have your own aspirations in a different type of field?
I mean, when I was going into the Disney College program, what I really wanted to do was be a character or a parade performer, which I did attend an audition for, but unfortunately, after the auditions, I got an email 3 days later saying that I was not accepted. But thankfully I was still accepted into the program as food and beverage. So I thought, okay, bright side, I'm still going to be working at Walt Disney World, which is nice. So yeah, at this point, I think mostly just finding professional musical theater companies and seeing if I can kind of bring myself into those is what I really want to go down next. If I ever do find myself moving back to California or back to Florida, then I would love to try another go around at performing at a Disney park.
Well, if you ever get around to going back there, I wish you all the best luck in being able to perform in the parks, because I'm sure that would be a phenomenal experience to be able to have.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Finally, Lauren, I want you to tell the listeners what you feel is the number one piece of advice that would help them follow their dreams, whether it be something that they want to go do, like being a part of the Disney College program?
I would definitely say, oh goodness, I need to think of something that sounds like awe-inspiring. But I would definitely say, yeah, push through and find what it is that, first off, that attracts you to what it is you want to do. And also, don't be afraid to ask people along the way to help, because that's an issue that I sometimes have that I'm still trying to get over, is that I keep thinking, oh no, I can do this all myself, I can do it on my own, but then eventually I just think, no, I need help from my friends, I need help from the people who are closest to me, because they will help me, they will help see potential in me and help me get through whatever I'm doing, and in turn that'll really help me see the potential that I have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, to have the experiences you want, you have to be willing to rely on others and go to others and build up your team that supports you. I think that makes a lot of sense and is great advice.
Yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach out to those who care about you and those who truly want you to be your best self.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, Lauren. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear about your experience at Hollywood Studios.
All right, you're very welcome. I'm so glad that I got to come on and tell you and everybody else about how it was working at Hollywood Studios.
Again, thank you so much. It's been so fun. To all of you who are listening, you can find links to everywhere Lauren is on the internet in the description. And if you enjoyed this discussion, let me know by rating the podcast and subscribing. Also, it would mean a lot if you followed my Disney adventures and discussions over on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Watso Videos, and considered supporting the show by donating on Patreon and purchasing the Following Dreams merchandise, which will also be linked below. To all of you fun people who are out in the world, thanks for listening and have a magical day.